that are coming in.
Annie Constable, thank you so much. And thank you at home for watching Front Office Sports Today. We'll see you next week.
It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight when Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
GameTime Decisions is live on SportsGrid on a jam-packed Friday night. Kevin Walsh with you here live from the Decisions desk as we have action live right now across the college basketball world. We already had ourselves one ranked game today. That was number 9 BYU, who smashed number 23 Wisconsin 98-70. Some ranked teams about to get underway. Louisville on the road against Cincinnati. A just under double-digit favorite. Michigan State laying quite a bit as they are home against Detroit Mercy. Sparty coming off of their dominant win over Kentucky in the Champions Classic. The Wildcats will get going in about 30 minutes in a spot where they're laying 36.5. Duke, a monster number tonight as they play Niagara. You've also got Florida and Arkansas, as well as UCLA laying big numbers against some pretty low-level teams. But the biggest game remaining on this slate, one of the bigger games I think early season we'll see, is Purdue and Texas Tech. Purdue, the number 1 team of the country. Texas Tech with title aspirations, and a battle between the top 2 non-freshmen player of the year candidates in Braden Smith and JT Toppin. I think this will be one that will get referenced as the season goes on. If this race really becomes between those 2 guys, Smith got the head-to-head, or Toppin got the head-to-head. I'm involved with that game and a few others on this college basketball board. We will set those up for you here on this Friday night. Perhaps the college football board calling your name on a Friday. It is got some big games that we'll get to in a moment about tomorrow. But tonight, Florida State, NC State, UNLV, Hawaii. That Florida State, NC State game is a battle for a bowl game. Now, each team still with 1 to play, but it's not going to be easy, at least for Florida State. NC State will be home against North Carolina, though who knows, Belichick's groups come on a little bit as this season's continued. Florida State will go to the Swamp to play Florida. That is not where you want to be if you are FSU. I think FSU may be booked as favorites in that game. I could be off on that. It's going to be a short number regardless. Maybe I'm probably off on that, actually. because the Tennessee number is pretty short in Gainesville. So Florida still gets a lot of love and respect from the books here. FSU needs this one tonight under a touchdown favorite to get it. As far as the college football this weekend, and we will be talking about it here on our show, there's a lot of good games. But I think the biggest comes to us from the Big Ten. Oregon versus USC. You could argue a win for the Ducks will clinch a spot in the college football playoff, despite still a tough game that remains after this one on the road against Washington. But what about a win here potentially for Lincoln Riley's team? That's going to get them in front of Oregon, who right now is ranked 7th. How many other teams could the Trojans jump with this one? Their final game is at home against UCLA. That's incredibly winnable. If you're USC, you would expect to be booked as a double-digit favorite in that game. They are a double-digit dog here, but it feels tighter to me than that number, which has been bouncing around throughout the week. You do have some slop on this slate as well. Charlotte is catching 45 from Georgia. Eastern Illinois catching 50 from Bama. 54.5 for Samford against Texas A&M. And then Rutgers is playing Ohio State, which isn't as bad, but look, it doesn't feel that much better. As far as the rest of tonight's slate goes, the NBA with a full one on a Friday as we have group play here in the NBA Cup. I mentioned the game between BYU and Wisconsin. That is one of 2 basketball games that you will see on that floor tonight as the Jazz are at home against the Oklahoma City Thunder, the 15-1 Oklahoma City Thunder, who for the 4th consecutive game are a favorite of at least 16.5 points. What is outrageous about that number is this is their 3rd road game during that 4-game window. OKC is a firing squad right now. They look better than last year. They are not as healthy as last year. It has just been dominance from the word go, and it is why I continue to talk about this team in the awards market. They are appropriately represented through Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's price to win league MVP. I think there is a huge number out there on Cason Wallace to win Defensive Player of the Year at 500 to 1. That is worth your attention. And a number that I talked about before the season that I still think should be lower is Mark Daigneault to win Coach of the Year at 11 to 1 in the NBA. If they win 70, he's a lock for top 3. If they win 73, it's his. I think if they win 72, it's his. If they win 74, he's going to be unanimous. He's going to be unanimous. And the odds for Daigneault to win Coach of the Year and this team to win 74 games are very, very tight. Very tight. You get a little bit more outs with that Coach of the Year price. One of my favorites. Other key spots here as far as group play goes. I believe the Raptors can clinch their group with win against the Wizards. They're 14.5-point favorites to get that. How about the Mavericks? Favorites in a basketball game. They're going to lay 3.5 tonight to New Orleans. Why not put a spoiler out there? I'm playing Dallas. I'm laying 3.5. I like this spot tonight for Cooper Flagg of the Mavs. I think they're playing a little bit better recently. New Orleans is a little bit as well, but they just had 5 consecutive home games, lost all of them. I think the Mavericks will be hungry for this one here in their building at 3.5. The Warriors laying almost double digits, but the best game on this slate tonight, Rockets, Nuggets. Important one for me and anybody else who got in the mix with the Rockets to win the Cup. They are incredibly live to do just that. Not if they lose this game here to Denver, though. Have to get this one if you are the Rockets. Your loss being Houston to the Spurs in group play is not as damning because San Antonio has followed that up by losing to Golden State. San Antonio without Victor Wembanyama, I don't love their chances to emerge from this group. A win here from the Rockets against the Denver Nuggets will put them back as favorites in this group and give them some of the best odds then to win this Cup overall. All things still run through OKC. We know that, but that's where things stand. How about the ice tonight? As always, there are some options out there if you want to get in the mix. Just a 4-game slate. An interesting one in Pittsburgh and Evgeny Malkin and the Penguins are a slight favorite against the Minnesota Wild. Now, this weekend, we will, of course, be setting you up for in its entirety, not just with our picks party. That's a Friday 5, and that is GTD State University as our favorite college picks and our favorite NFL picks. Will send you off into the weekend here. But we will check in with our guy, Brady Canada, get some thoughts from him as he and the group over with the Las Vegas Football Contest Show have been having themselves a great season. Some of the numbers that they've settled on, and there are numbers moving throughout the week here, including around Cincinnati and New England. Something we will be talking about is, will Joe Burrow be on the field for the Cincinnati Bengals? An interesting move by some of the predictive markets. Over on Kalshi, they've posted, will Joe Burrow actually start? So instead of trying to bet the number and beat the number, you can actually just bet the will you see Burrow on the field proposition out there on Kalshi. Interesting to watch this one trend. I feel like all signs are pointing to Joe Burrow being under center in this game for the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati likely needs to win out and probably lose a maximum of one more game. If they're going to make the playoffs, we'll see if Burrow could start hot against New England. As far as tonight goes, we are tracking the college basketball live, including, of course, a watchful eye on the Iona Gales, down a ton early to Akron. They've trimmed that a little bit heading into half, 47-33. But we will continue to get you set up for a college football night and weekend with, of course, the help of legendary head coach Terry Bowden, as you've got some serious spots where we're so fortunate to get the insight. We here talk about bowl games on the line. Coach Bowden's lived that. He knows what that messaging is like, right? Look ahead spots, ranked spots, team coming into your building, letdown spots. I got questions about all the emotion Lincoln Riley let out after that Iowa victory and what that looks like now going into Oregon. That's all on the deck, and it's next, and it's right here on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what
I said earlier. You got hit behind the line of scrimmage. You got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
When I think of the European tour, these are the players I'm thinking of, right? So I understand why that they would be so frustrated by all this, but they also know that there are rules in place that, from a competitive standpoint, that if you're a member of this tour, like, you can't go join a rival tour. Like, there's rules in place, just like in any other business.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
The Green Bay area and the Philadelphia area, you would get on ABC normally.
Yes.
But they didn't have ABC, so they couldn't get it locally.
Yeah, it just, you have to ask the question, like, nobody wants to hear from Bob Iger during the Monday night game when 10 million people are blacked out from watching the game, and you not ask him about when the blackout's going to end.
The Craig Carden Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions on a Friday night right here on SportsGrid, and we have ourselves a treat. As always, we are lucky on these Friday nights to bring in Coach Terry Bowden. And, Coach, I know you've got some good stuff going on this weekend. We're going to talk about some of those big games coming up there, but congratulations to you and the family for everything that you've got going on down there over in Auburn, and that's just awesome to see.
Yeah, they're going to recognize our 1993 undefeated team. We were on probation from the previous year, and they didn't recognize us as the national champion, but we were called it by somebody, so we're recognizing the team on the field tomorrow. The sad thing is, who won the championship that year? My old man won it in 93, and so I'm going to make him share it.
Well, Coach, we've got some games tonight. None of these teams are fighting for national championships, but they are fighting for bowl eligibility, and we know that matters, right? And I think you could absolutely argue it may not matter for any coach more than Mike Norvell. My read on this situation is if he does not get to 6 wins, he will be let go. Now, I don't think it's a guarantee that getting to 6 absolutely saves the job. But I think if he loses this game here tonight at NC State and then a trip to the Swamp against Florida, it could be curtains. What is the message for this team tonight? How much pressure is there in a late November game between 2 5-5 football teams?
Well, I don't think the coach needs to make the players feel the pressure. They want to go to a bowl. That's what they've got to think. Mike Norvell has a whole lot of different issues. Now, let me say this. The administration does not want to get rid of him. They've got financial difficulties because they put so much money into so many things. They don't want it to happen. They want him to stay. The fans may create a situation where he doesn't get to a bowl where they may force their hand. But right now, Mike's under a lot of pressure, and this is an NC State team that can beat him. And he has not won an away game since 2023. FSU has not won on the road since 2023, and I'm not going to pick them until they win one on the road.
I don't blame you there, Coach. I'll tell you, I have a couple of things in the old till that need Florida State to get the bowl eligibility, so I'll be rooting them to cross the finish line. But I can't say I have a world of confidence, and I think you kind of explained it well as to why that might be the case. Let's talk about some of the games this weekend, though. But I actually want to stick here for a second before we get to some of these key ranked matchups, Coach. These Texas A&M Samford, right? The game when you think about Alabama, Eastern Illinois, Georgia, Charlotte, Mike. I mean, these are 45, 50-point favorites here. What the messaging is heading into this week?
Well, the main thing is to make sure your kids stay focused and play football. Play hard, be fundamentally sound, because they know what the score is. They know these teams can't compete with them. And you got to say, and when you're talking about that kind of number and you're wagering, some of these coaches pulled their starters. Some of them don't. Some want to win big because it looks like beauty points. So you got to be careful understanding what the purpose is of the head coach. And so it's kind of hard to pick some of these teams, especially if they're a sure bet. Like Texas A&M, they're in the college football playoff. They got to make sure they don't fall out on the conference championship game. But the point spread is so high, it's hard to say what's on those minds. The main thing is to keep those players focused, because most of these games, the spread's so far, they shouldn't be able to lose the game even if they play bad.
Do you think almost in a way, too, that these coaches at the high level, they like this as it's not a full bye week, right? You only get so many of those. But it's just, Texas A&M, they follow this up by playing Texas. That's a big one. Georgia has to play Georgia Tech. They gave them a real scare last year, right? Bama's got Auburn. So these coaches here in the SEC, they seem to really value these games, Coach.
Well, in the South, it's very traditional. You play your rival at the end of the season. Auburn's got Alabama, so they're playing Mercer. Georgia's got Georgia Tech, so they're playing Charlotte. Texas A&M's got Texas, so they're playing, who are they playing? Eastern Illinois, I believe.
Yeah,
So that's what happens here. These games are there so they don't have a big, intense game before these rival games. Before there was a playoff, these rival games, they mean everything, and they still do. Believe me, when Tennessee goes down to Florida, they don't like each other. It's a rival game, and those kids will know it, too, from those fans.
All right, so we'll stick in the SEC. We have a ranked matchup here between Oklahoma and Missouri. OU under a touchdown. There's some word about Prbula could be back under center here for the Missouri Tigers. Perhaps that explains a number, Coach. I feel many are starting to think, hey, that looks a little light here towards the Sooners off of that big victory?
Well, I still Oklahoma, 6.5 now is where it's going right now.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's defense against the run is outstanding. Missouri's offense running the ball is outstanding. But I like Oklahoma in this situation at home. Missouri, Prabula, if he comes back, that'll help. But if he's not fully healthy, they'll be all over him because if he's not mobile, it's not going to help him. But I still believe that the running game at Oklahoma, playing at home, is so strong. And you talk about Ahmad Hardy, who got 300 yards last week. Yeah, but he only had 52 against Alabama, 56 against Auburn, 98 against Vandy, against the better SEC teams at times. He has not been able to take it. If he can have a big night, that is their chance to win because a quarterback, I don't think, is going to be able to make enough difference, whether it be Prabula or the quarterback, the freshman that they've got.
And we're going to get into some of these other games here with Coach, USC, Oregon in our next segment. I just want to say for Oklahoma, it's something we've talked about on the show. I think the playoff is better with OU in it. I think they are one of the, let's call it, 12 best teams in the country. Their final stretch, Coach, I got to tell you, it stresses me out because they should win. But I don't like calling Missouri or LSU walkovers. Those are not easy games here. That's a lot. It's a tense situation, in my opinion, Coach.
Absolutely. Missouri's an old Southwest. This is an old rivalry of theirs, and it's going to be a huge game. And Missouri is a great football team when it comes to well-coached, can beat anybody. So it is a very tough game. But I'll take this. If Oklahoma State can beat them and LSU, not only should they be in the playoffs, but I think he should be Coach of the Year, Brent Venables, for the job that he's done with this team this year.
I love it. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break here on SportsGrid. We're going to come back with Coach Terry Bowden, get some thoughts on one of the biggest games so far this season in the Big Ten. Can USC upset Oregon on the road? We'll talk about it after the break.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said earlier.
He got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
When I think of the European tour, these are the players I'm thinking of, right? So I understand why that they would be so frustrated by all this, but they also know that there are rules in place that, from a competitive standpoint, that if you're a member of this tour, like, you can't go join a rival tour. Like, there's rules in place, just like in any other business.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
The Green Bay area and the Philadelphia area, you would get it on ABC normally.
Yes.
But they didn't have ABC, so they couldn't get it locally.
Yeah, it just, you have to ask the question, like, nobody wants to hear from Bob Iger during the Monday night game when 10 million people are blacked out from watching the game, and you not ask him about when the blackout's going to end.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, guys, back at the right here. It is Game Time Decisions. We are live on SportsGrid. We've got some great action still to come here tonight. on this college basketball board. We are talking some college football, though, right now with legendary head coach Terry Bowden. Coach, Oregon USC is one of the games I am most excited for all season long because I know this spread says there's a huge gap between these teams. I don't necessarily agree. I think these are two close teams. I think on any given day, USC could look like the best offense in college football here. I think the Ducks got a real tough task on their hands against Lincoln Riley and this group.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not betting on it, but I'm gonna go with Oregon in the points. But those points is much too much for me to feel good about it. But the fact that they can run the football and they're maybe the best deep pass defense in the country, and they're at Austin Field and they're at Austin Stadium, that they play so well at home. And then for that reason, I just think they have a better chance to win. Now, USC is going to score points. But I do think Oregon is too. When a team can play defense and can run the football late in the season, I tend to favor them. That 10 points is awful tough, though. I'm not going to lay any money on that. But I think Oregon's going to win it. But that points that kind of scares me on that one.
Yeah, the one thing I will say, and it's hard to know why. Maybe there was some back and forths that I missed, Coach. I don't know if you saw the very, very end of Iowa versus USC, but Lincoln Riley celebrated a little bit above what felt like was at stake. Now, I have no problem with coaches, hey, soak in every win. These are hard to come by, right? I mean, heck, the best teams, in the country only win 10 games, 11 games, whatever it might be. Yeah. But it was a little out of character for Lincoln Riley against Iowa. That celebration, that victory in the rain. I wonder if he felt like he proved some doubters wrong, but I wonder if Lincoln's going to be able to get this group up to the necessary degree to hang here, because Oregon, despite a 9-1 record, Coach, you could argue they have a lot to prove this weekend. That resume isn't too shiny for the Ducks.
Yeah, and so they've only got one loss, and I do think they're playing better. They just have consistently gotten better, and other than the loss to Indiana, they still have come out on the winning side most of the times. But I will say this about Riley. I do think the pressure to win there, they didn't bring him there and pay him that kind of money not to win the conference or to be in the conference football playoffs. And if he doesn't win this game, he's not going to make it. And so I think when he beats a team like Iowa, when he wins a game like that, there's some relief as much as there is excitement. There's just a relief of knowing that you got another one under your belt against a real good Iowa team.
Coach, I want to ask you about this ACC matchup between Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh, because Georgia Tech has been towing the line, it feels like, in a lot of games this season. But, look, sometimes you can say, hey, they find a way. Other times you can say, they're not that good. Pittsburgh's a tough team to get a handle on occasionally where, Narduzzi comes out before the Notre Dame games. I don't know, beat us by 100. What do I care? All that matters is ACC play. I feel like some people might have been watching that game like, all right, don't actually get beat by 100 now, Pat. Let's pull the reins in here a little bit. How do you feel about Georgia Tech, Pittsburgh?
Yeah, this is a good game. I think it will be a close game. Both quarterbacks are key. Mason Henschel, the true freshman at Pittsburgh, he can be lights out, but he can also make mistakes. The guy that's the difference maker, the leader on the field, is Haynes King. It's supposed to be a tight ball game. If he's got the ball in his hands, whether he's going to hold on to the clock for 2 more minutes or he's got to score a field goal in 2 more minutes, he's the guy that's going to make it happen all by himself. He won't turn the ball over. They will give up points at Georgia Tech, but I like the veteran quarterback. I like Haynes King in a tight ball game like this to win the game.
Awesome. This is going to be a lot of fun here. It's going to be a fun weekend. Coach, we really appreciate it always, you helping us get ready for these games, and enjoy the weekend.
I sure will. Thank you, man.
Great stuff as always there. Legendary head coach Terry Bowden. I do want to let people know we got a couple of college games coming up at 7 o'clock here. A few of them that I'm on. We've got Merrimack catching 38.5 against Florida. Florida, my national champion pick on the college basketball world. I'm on Merrimack plus the 38.5. This is 15 points higher than when they played Auburn. That, to me, a little bit too much here for a group last year that for a while was the best team in the MAC. Slower team, good defensively. I like that they've already stepped up once. Yes, I know they were beaten down by Auburn in that game, but I think Merrimack can keep this inside the 38.5. I'm going to lay 2.5 with Wake Forest in the undercard game of that big affair with Purdue, Texas Tech. We've got Wake Forest going up against Memphis. Memphis, I think, did everything they could to try and upset Purdue. They covered. Wake Forest is just a good team. They win that game handily. We'll be right back here. It's Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League.
Yep.
So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what
I said earlier. He got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
When I think of the European tour, these are the players I'm thinking of, right? So I understand why that they would be so frustrated by all this, but they also know that there are rules in place that, from a competitive standpoint, that if you're a member of this tour, like, you can't go join a rival tour. Like, there's rules in place, just like in any other business.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
The Green Bay area and the Philadelphia area, you would get on ABC normally.
Yes.
But they didn't have ABC, so they couldn't get it locally.
Yeah, it just, you have to ask the question, like, nobody wants to hear from Bob Iger during the Monday night game when 10 million people are blacked out from watching the game, and you not ask him about when the blackout's going to end.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions here on this Friday night. Happy to have you. We got some great guys still to come here. We've got Joe Lisi in about 10 minutes' time. We've got Brady Cannon in about a half hour here joining the show. Talk some college football and NFL with those fellas. We'll send you off into the weekend. I do want to talk a little NFL, but in a moment here, let's put some picks on the board. Just go through the card here, how things stack up tonight. A couple of college games that are getting underway. We talked about those. Merrimack, Luss, the 38.5. And then we are going to take Wake Forest laying 2.5. The other picks that I'm on tonight for the college game are Purdue minus 3.5 and Kansas State money line. I'm going to lay the 3.5 with Purdue. I do think that the Boilermakers, while I may not be on them as a national title pick, I think if you said, hey, do you want to buy or sell their future, I'd rather sell it. That's for me. I do think that they have the pieces to slow down JT Toppin. I think Toppin has looked incredible to start this year, but the combination of Kaufman, Wren, and Clough, it's not just being able to throw bodies at Toppin, it's to try and get that guy into some foul trouble there. And that way, Texas Tech can't score with Purdue. I think that's the goal. That's the hope. That's what I'm banking on with Purdue. At 3.5 on a neutral, I'm willing to back this team who knows how to win in the Bahamas. They didn't go there for anything other than to win that tournament. I'm on K-State money line. It's a light line. It's 1.5. I know Nebraska's off to a good start this season, and I am not going to sit here and tell you line's crazy. K-State should be the favorite. I see how these teams stack up metrically. I like this Kansas State team. I like Tang. I like Haggerty. I think that combination is going to be really good this year in the Big 12, and I'm going to take my chances on K-State at a plus 112 price on the money line here against Nebraska. That's where I'm at college basketball-wise. Played a few spots in the NBA tonight. as well. I played a pair of sides. I took 2.5 with Miami. Now, typically I know I've talked about, hey, shorter numbers, let's grab money lines, let's grab a plus price. The NBA Cup's wild. Guys just keep shooting and shooting because point differential matters. So who knows? Maybe the 2.5 comes into play. I'm not banking on that. I think the Heat are going to win the game. But I will take the 2.5 while they're out there. I think Chicago's coming off a bit of an emotional road trip where you lose a double overtime game to Utah. You follow that by a 3-point win in Denver and a 1-point win in Portland at the gun by Nikola Vucevic. I think usually coming back home can be a big boost. I think this is a tough spot. I like Miami here to play with pace up and down. They've got Bam Adebayo back in the lineup, and I think they win this basketball game. No Kobe White for Chicago. Give me Bam and the boys to pull off a slight upset here against the Bulls. We'll take the 2.5. And then we've got Dallas and New Orleans. I'm going to lay the 3.5 with the Mavericks. I do not like this spot at all for the Pels. They relatively, at least, via covering, hung with OKC and Denver. But 5 straight home games. The Pelicans on the road are terrible. Dallas has played this team and lost to this team, which was nightmarish. I think the Mavericks, you're starting to see an uptick. Again, I don't know if that's Cooper coming along, if there's a little more energy because Nico was fired. But if you look, their last 3 home games, double overtime against the Clippers, overtime win against Portland, that 2-point loss at the gun against the Knicks, which could have been a win. I think the Mavs will be licking their chops in a spot as favorites to get not just a win here, but a big win. So I like Dallas. My best bet on the NBA board tonight is backing Chet Holmgren over 20.5 points, rebounds, assists. Some of this breakdown is going to, I think, sound, you guys bounce back merchant. I'm called it, and I wear it because it's what I am. Chet has had 29 points, rebounds, assists in 3 consecutive games. 5 of his last 6. I think Chet Holmgren is going up a level. That's my belief. For people who talk basketball with me, they know I'm a big believer in the player. I think he can be not just the second best guy. We talk about him versus Chandler Williams, but I think this is a guy who has potential to be one of your 12 or so best players in basketball. 3 of his 4 highest field goal attempt games are his last 3 games on the season. He scored 25, 26, and 21. I think the assist number could be high. The Jazz can't guard. I think the rebound number could be high. I love this spot. It is. I think he could score 30. I think he could have 15 RA. I will end up with some Chet alts in pocket for this game. I am all about Chet Holmgren here. Shout out to the team in the back. They're going to lock in with a couple of college plays. Sam's on Hawaii, UNLV, over the 64.5. You got to respect it. Chris, I got to tell you, pal, I don't know if that's a compliment or shot. The Smotherman himself, Hollywood Smothers, over the 13.5 receiving. A one-time best bet on this show from me. Where Hollywood Smothers, let's pull up that box score. He was not. So Hollywood Smothers, there it is, sticks out like a sore thumb. Game 1, 30 receiving. Game 2, 13 receiving. Checks in for me on a Thursday night against Wake. 4 grabs, -1. Ugh. Since then, 41, 11, 30, 21, 25. Last game, 6. What a bounce back spot here, called by Chris. Shout out to the Smotherman, Hollywood Smothers himself, as Chris is going to look to get involved. Now, I said I wanted to talk a tick NFL here before we get our guy Joe Lisi into the fold. Because yesterday, we talk panic a lot, rightfully so, when it comes to teams, wins and losses within the National Football League. The Buffalo Bills had, to me, one of the most panic-inducing losses, if not the most, of the season. As someone who laid it with Buffalo yesterday, saw the Texans start with the football, I said, man, 3 and out, touchdown, never look back. Check. Yikes. 3 and out. Davis Mills started this game 1 of 8. He went into the locker room having comfortably outplayed Josh Allen in the first half. Turnover Josh, back. Awesome. Not awesome. And the defense is nightmarish. I did a little bit of work today around the contenders and how their units grade out, whether it be overall offense or defense or specifically pass offense, rush defense, whatever it may be, via EPA. There are some bad rush offenses at the top of the NFL. Seattle can't run it. That'll bite them. Rams can't run it. That'll bite them. Pats can't run it. I don't know. Maybe. But by far and away, by EPA, the worst specific unit you will find of any contenders. There's 11 teams at 16-1 or shorter to win the Super Bowl. Next is 30-1, so you can call it 11 teams. The Bills' rush defense ranks 31st out of 32 teams by EPA. Conversely, Buffalo's rush offense is second best in football. You know what that means? When the Bills are on the field, both teams have Josh Allen and James Cook. Both teams just have elite rush offenses no matter what. Buffalo, I cannot stress this enough. Nightmare season KC, nightmare season Baltimore, and Buffalo said, you know what? Love it, fellas. If that's what we're doing, let's do it. All of us will underachieve. Every year, this is Buffalo's year. This is Josh's year. Temperature check. Temperature check. Is it? Doesn't feel like it. It's never felt less like it. It has never felt less like their year, and the Chiefs are currently on the outside looking in. It's never felt less like their year, and the Ravens are on the outside looking in. How? This team was flicked right out of the top 5 odds to win a Super Bowl, rightfully so. What are we doing, man? How did we get here? And this is trending towards a season where questions will be way too loud. You can't point singularly. Joe Brady on that 4th down handoff to James Cook, I thought Ian Rappaport was going to tweet out, the Buffalo Bills have actually, according to sources, fired Joe Brady. That's how that felt like that was going to go. But it won't just be Brady. McDermott, man up top, calls into local radio stations. Why do you guys say we don't have enough? Mr. Bean? Panic time in Buffalo, people. Joe Lisi's next.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said earlier.
You got hit behind the line of scrimmage. You got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
When I think of the European tour, these are the players I'm thinking of, right? So I understand why that they would be so frustrated by all this, but they also know that there are rules in place that, from a competitive standpoint, that if you're a member of this tour, like, you can't go join a rival tour. Like, there's rules in place, just like in any other business.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
The Green Bay area and the Philadelphia area, you would get on ABC normally.
Yes.
But they didn't have ABC, so they couldn't get it locally.
Yeah, it just, you have to ask the question, like, nobody wants to hear from Bob Iger during the Monday night game when 10 million people are blacked out from watching the game, and you not ask him about when the blackout's going to end.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions on a Friday night. I'm Kevin Walsh, and I'm joined now by my man Joe Lisi. You can catch Joe handling business both Saturday and Sunday right here on SportsGrid with college and pro football today. He's as good as it gets, and I mean every single word of that, and he knows that. Joe, before we get to the football, though, you're a man of many talents. Is there any world you were on Iona against Akron? And can we get these Gales in? I took them plus the 12. They're down 28. It's not going good right now, Joe.
I can't get into college hoops right now. I can't. After January 1st, I dive in. But we have too much going on right now, Kevin. We got the calm before the storm. College football, weeks 13, weeks 14, teams on life support. I mean, Iona's always live when they're catching points, but Akron could be a smash job. You know, this is a team that's challenged for the challenged for the MAC. They challenged for the MAC title. How many years in a row? I mean, this team is just when they get going.
All right, now you're running it up.
Look at this. Here we go.
Listen, there's some college football business to attend to, but here's the thing, Joe. You know this, right? I'm fair. I had people sending in, we have an operating email in the back. No, we don't. They were sending in emails saying, hey, ask Lisi what happened with LSU. The win wasn't enough. We needed a cover. And they said hashtag gutless. That's what the email said. Again, the email doesn't exist, but that's what it said.
Right.
But then you sent out a tweet I saw today. You know, you were in the Lisi generator, mortadella, prosciutto, hammered on special. That's what I was seeing. So listen, I usually delay. I'm cutting straight to it. What are you looking at this Saturday?
Well, it was the mortadella, right? Sweep the leg, punch your book in the solar plexus. Game of the year. We never put out the game of the year this early prior to the Thanksgiving weekend, but this year in 2025 we put it out. Kevin, did you know Kentucky has won the last 4 in the series in Nashville against the Commodores? Did you know that, Kev? Vanderbilt has not knocked off Kentucky since 2015. Are you aware of that? I think they're live this weekend, catching 8.5 points. This Diego Pavia, I don't know if you saw him. He's out. He's showboating out there with Theo Vaughn and the money. I don't know if his head's right for this game. And you have Kentucky 5-5, winners of 3 straight. They've won those games by an average margin of victory of 23.3 points per game.
Yeah.
Something, a little birdie just tells me Kentucky could be live.
You're going to have us break protocol on the show, but I can't pass the opportunity up. Right. We usually do our favorite college picks for the weekend in our final segment. But I just have to read to you our GTD State University pick sent in by none other than Chris Kofsky. Vanderbilt first half team total over 17.5. Okay, hold on. Now, hold on. Be nice. Hold on. What's your radar say? That's information I had to pass your way.
We're changing. Not game of the year. Game of the century. I mean, as long as I'm walking this earth, baby, this could be the game of the century. First half, Diego Pavia. Oh, those cats are going to be roaring. They're going to be looking a lot better than that basketball team. We won't go there.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Easy.
It's early.
All right.
It's early.
Right.
It's pre-December. We won't talk about Polk. Won't talk about Polk and the Cats.
Please no.
But this defense could be flying.
Yeah, all right. So you think of a lower scoring Kentucky? I'll say this, Joe. I'll say this. What I like about you playing Game of the Year early, you can just do Game of the Year Part 2 if you have to. That's a lot of time to run it back.
Obviously, gamble at your own risk, but that is my game of the day. That is my game of the day.
Right. You listen. At your own risk. Joe likes it, but in parentheses, smash. Run to the window. Run to the window. Lacey, let me stick here then, because we're in the SEC. We've got our guy Joe for a couple of segments. We'll get to some other key games. But the news did come out of Mississippi today that Lane Kiffin's decision as to whether or not he's going to stick with this program is now going to come after the Mississippi State game. Mm-hmm. I don't understand what we're doing here, really. Like, I understand they want to apply the pressure for an answer, but Lane Kiffin is only going to tell them that I'm staying. He's only going to give the decision if it is I am staying. He cannot possibly leave this team, say, hey, I'm going to go to Baton Rouge, and then not coach them in the playoff. That's crazy. Am I right?
Well, I mean, I think if it was up to Lane Kiffin, he would take the job and obviously coach them in the playoff. The problem is, if you're Ole Miss, you, don't want a coach that's got one foot out the door. They would much rather potentially go to a veteran, DC in Golden that's on the staff. And on top of that, it's the other factor, too, is if Lane Kiffin is staying, why drag it out to the Egg Bowl? I mean, why not just sign the contract now? Here's the other take, and I don't know if you saw this. His son was playing the other night. They have a photo of him. His son's a 5-star or 4-star senior. Kid's got LSU headphones on. So I'm just saying. And by the way, his daughter dates Whit Weeks, who still has another year of eligibility left. So, if we're talking the family move, it seems like he can make the move and do it for family as opposed to just, the money, the 14 or 15 million that they're going to throw at him. But I love the hire. If we can get him, I'll be a season ticket holder next year.
Yeah, I know. Hold on. No, Pat, you're booked on Saturdays. You got no room to be no season ticket holder. We got you. Commercial break has never been better timed. We'll come back and get some thoughts from Joe around the college landscape after the break here on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said earlier.
He got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
When I think of the European tour, these are the players I'm thinking of, right? So I understand why that they would be so frustrated by all this, but they also know that there are rules in place that, from a competitive standpoint, that if you're a member of this tour, like, you can't go join a rival tour. Like, there's rules in place, just like in any other business.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
The Green Bay area and the Philadelphia area, you would get on ABC normally.
Yes.
But they didn't have ABC, so they couldn't get it locally.
Yeah, it just, you have to ask the question, like, nobody wants to hear from Bob Iger during the Monday night game when 10 million people are blacked out from watching the game, and you not ask him about when the blackout's going to end.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
When Joe Lisi joined this show, Iona was down 29. They've now cut it to 26. I'll be honest with you. We're up against it, people. Here, we're up against it. I mean, Akron may have already done enough to secure the cover, but we're going to look at this as a sacrifice because Iona has a game against St. John's, and we're looking to get 30 in that game, and we may just get it. Careful what you wish for, some will say, but it is what it is. We're joined, of course, by our guy Joe Lisi, and Joe, there's so many good things that we could talk about in the world of football, but as far as the college games this weekend, there's a game. I don't know if it's a best bet for you, but it should be. It should be. You know, boys in the morning, I hear, they cap these USC games, crunching the numbers all the time. For you, though, as it pertains to Lincoln Riley in a big spot, I usually know which way you're looking. Dan Lanning, you're a big Dan Lanning guy. You've already got this one circled up?
Not a best bet, Kev, but I do like Oregon over USC. Again, at home, coming off the win against Minnesota, a little lackluster. I mean, they had 2 touchdowns that technically, in my opinion, weren't even touchdowns. They should have been called back. They shouldn't have covered against the Golden Gophers. That being said, it comes down to the biggest thing. USC against a step up in competition really fails. And I still think Dan Lanning is a better head coach all around than Lincoln Riley. I've said it before. I'll say it again. He's done less with more than potentially anybody in college football and is not worth the $11 million. Now, they have 2 losses now. They have the ability to be a 10-2 football team, maybe crack the college football playoff. But in this spot, I'm laying it with the more physical team, in my opinion, and Oregon.
I'm really excited to watch this one play out. Joe, are you looking to watch any of these ones play out tonight? I know it's a lighter card. I know you got a lot going on, but you got NC State, FSU, UNLV, Hawaii.
I mean, I'm interested in the FSU game, knowing how NC State played last week and didn't cover against Miami. They have the ability to be potentially 7-5. I think that would be a win for Mike Norvell. This line is potentially, to me, a Florida State line. It would opened up at 5.5. We saw some 6.5s, and now we might even get up to 7 within the next 20 minutes. But I still think Florida State should roll in this game. Not going to be easy. Raleigh is a tough place to play. Obviously, Georgia Tech knows that, but I just think the Seminoles in this spot can run on the front 7 of NC State, and that's how they're going to win and cover.
Joe, last night, the Buffalo Bills and that loss to the Houston Texans. I think that should bring some panic about in Buffalo. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think we see the game plan now. If you take 2 marquee games, Atlanta and last night against Houston, the game plan to beat Buffalo is to blitz them considerably and put pressure on Josh Allen off the edge, right? Now, teams that can't play man-to-man coverage in the back end are going to struggle, but teams, that have a dominant secondary like Houston could play the man-to-man and bump and run coverage and not worry about it, and that's really a cause of concern for the Buffalo Bills. I don't think Josh Allen had enough design runs because in that type of situation, I didn't. I thought he could have a little bit more in that game plan. But to me, he had 20 yards rushing, right? Again, this team struggled with Houston last year. And knowing that he had one of his worst performances, 9 of 30 in that game last year, I thought the game plan would be a little bit different, but it wasn't. They were still in a position to win it in the end and just couldn't make enough plays, Kevin.
Yeah, and listen, I could hear kind of in your voice you were reacting to my eyes. It was nothing you said. I thought it was great analysis. I took Merrimack, Joe, plus 38.5. We're 12 minutes in. It's 30-4. I got to be honest. It's not great, Lise. Lise, I might be getting knocked around. You said Kentucky tomorrow? You might need to pick me up. I might need to pick me up,
Game of
Joey.
the century. I got a couple of others. I might as well give them out. You never know what Saturday brings. If I have the opportunity to put out best bets or anything, who knows? It'll be putting out more Rat Pack games than potentially, but I will just say this. I
They'll
will
have
just
you
say this.
swinging in from a rope like Tarzan on the AI system. Go ahead.
That 12 o'clock game in Blacksburg, there's going to be light rain in the forecast. Miami needs to win 17 and a half points. This is the game, the Hail Mary last year. James Franklin's going to be there. And again, I just think the last game for the seniors, keep an eye out for Vatek tomorrow.
Lacey, I love it. I'll talk to you Sunday. We got Brady Cannon next.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League.
Yep.
So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I
said
said
earlier.
earlier.
He got hit behind the line of
worst problem
scrimmage.
on
He got
this team is
tackled in the
offensive
end zone.
line. Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing
No
is,
surprise.
Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
When I think of the European tour, these are the players I'm thinking of, right? So I understand why that they would be so frustrated by all this, but they also know that there are rules in place that, from a competitive standpoint, that if you're a member of this tour, like, you can't go join a rival tour. Like, there's rules in place, just like in any other business.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
The Green Bay area and the Philadelphia area, you would get on ABC normally.
Yes.
But they didn't have ABC, so they couldn't get it locally.
Yeah, it just you have to ask the question, like, nobody wants to hear from Bob Iger during the Monday night game when 10 million people are blacked out from watching the game, and you not ask him about when the blackout's going to end.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, let's get you some updates on the live board here. Halftime tally in Cincinnati, Louisville is 32-28 for the Dog. Unranked Bearcats carrying in the second-best defense on KenPom in the country up against the second-best offense, has their defense winning out. They've held Louisville to just 28 first-half points. I believe that is the first time this season Louisville did not score 50 in the first half of a game. They haven't been nearly half that number at 28. Impressive stuff. Michigan State up right now 16 on Detroit Mercy. In the early goings, you're seeing big favorites winning big. 42-18 Kentucky against Loyola. 30-13 Duke up against Niagara. Don't let them get hot. Merrimack's got it down to 25. 32-7. They are losing to the Florida Gators. We are tracking and trending with all of these matchups here. The NBA live right now, just one game, which is Cleveland and Indiana, 26-24 early going. Evan Mobley off to a nice start to this game scoring-wise, but it's actually Andrew Nembhard of Indiana who is leading any and all scorers. At 7:30, you've got two games from the NBA slate that are set to join. That's going to be the Celtics and the Nets, then the Raptors and the Wizards. Boston and Toronto, both 13.5 to 14.5 point favorites in these matchups. I was looking for some Scotty Barnes props in this game. You could play his points, you could play his rebounds. I think both are pretty tempting in the game, but the blowout nature of it all, I didn't find myself trusting the spot enough to get to Scotty Barnes. Double-double if you want some plus money, though. I do not mind that look if you are so inclined. College football, Nothing live yet. Those are a couple of later starts there between Florida State, NC State, and then a little bit later than that, you'll get the game between UNLV and Hawaii. Others are spots here as far as the NBA board goes tonight that are still to come. 8 o'clock, it's the Bulls and the Heat. You guys know I am on Miami at +2.5 there. I think the Heat can win that game outright. 8:30, Mavs Pels, another spot where I'm on. Dallas at -3.5. I think the Mavericks can handle business and win by margin here up against this New Orleans group. 9 o'clock, Phoenix and Minnesota. Gotta have it spot as somebody who bet Minnesota to actually win their group. My thought was it would come down the group to a game in Minnesota between the Wolves and the Thunder. So far, Minnesota has won their first 2 games. A win here will give them that opportunity. OKC has still 2 more to play prior to that game against Minnesota, so maybe the Wolves could, create a little bit of separation. If you're Minnesota, though, as they sit right now, +54 in group play, the key could very well actually end up being when they play. Now, it won't help my bet in terms of winning the group. I didn't bet them to win it outright. I'm hoping they win the group, but I'm very curious if we get to that final game where the Wolves will need to, not, a win would lock them in, but a loss, perhaps if margin is appropriate, it's good enough to just get them in as the top wild card team out of the cup. So that's something just to keep your eyes on, the margin of victory in all these cup games here as well. It's why you see teams playing until that final whistle, shooting with the shot clock off, all of that is incredibly new. One item of the NFL that we will get to when Brady Cannon joins us in a little bit here, though, is everything surrounding Joe Burrow. And this is something we've talked about throughout the week here on our show. I'm fascinated by, a market that the team behind the scenes had notified me about, which is, will Joe Burrow start? That's available over on Kalshi. Trending towards the yes. You can see the numbers are moving that direction, and I will say, as someone who played the Cincinnati Bengals to win a Super Bowl, Burrow starting is more upsetting than anything else for me. This Cincinnati team, sometimes I know I can justify things, futures in my head that maybe will sound crazy to people, but we've talked about Buffalo, we've talked about Kansas City, we've talked about Baltimore, right? We enter the year, this notion of a big 4 quarterback crop. Right now, all of them are, in the moment, a little bit disappointed in how they've played through the course of this season. Cincinnati, it was there for the taking. Now, the Burrow injury obviously put them in a completely different position. But why Burrow coming back here pre-Thanksgiving is so upsetting is this team had to do almost nothing in order to give Burrow a chance to come back to a team that had a chance. They needed to not lose to the Jets when they had an in-game win probability at nearly 100. It was 97.5 in the fourth quarter. At 4-6, it would feel like, okay, life. Don't lose that next game to the Bears where you had a win probability of almost 90 with under a minute to go. And all of a sudden, you're 5-5. You have the same exact record as the Ravens with 2 to play against Baltimore. Look at the state of the AFC wildcard race where everybody's in the mix. At 5-5, I know we'd be talking division, but maybe Cincinnati could get in as a wildcard team. I look at Cincinnati right now. If they win out, I don't even think it's a guarantee that they win the division. You never know with Pittsburgh. That would get them at 10-7. If they lose one more game at 9-8, what does that promise them? Who's the loss to? Is it to Baltimore? That might damn them. This team's next 4 games, New England, Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore. They will be booked as an underdog, I think, in every single one of the games. The only way that's not true is if when they're home against Baltimore, there's a QB absence, or they've won the prior 3 games, I guess. Feels unlikely. It's just remarkable to think about the opportunity that was squandered here. And I will say, it is very likely you see, I think, at least Zach Taylor fired at season's end here. But I will say for Zach Taylor, this is not only his fault. You know, I think some people, the organization's decision making. I've been bothered by how Cincinnati has approached backup quarterback for years. There are teams who have really good backup quarterbacks, and they're bad football teams. That doesn't make sense. Quarterbacks get hurt all the time. Imagine if San Francisco's backup quarterback was C.J. Beathard instead of Mac Jones. Their season would be over. Cincinnati, with an injury-prone superstar quarterback, convinced themselves Drake Browning was not only acceptable coming into the year, but staring down the face of atrocious quarterback play. It was clear Browning wasn't going to be the guy in the win against Jacksonville. Allowed him to lose a 2-game window, 76-13, and he got another start on top of that. And then you make a trade for Flacco. And you think, okay, we've solved we've solved everything. And then you have the most nonsensical situation we've seen with a first-round pick in a long time in Shamar Stewart. You pair that with all the Trey Hendrickson issues, and the defense completely falls apart as the season goes on. Let's not forget, this team started 1-0 and arguably 2-0 because of the defense, not the offense. Just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So I see Burrow coming back this week, and we will get Brady Cannon's thoughts on our next segment about how to move this line, how people in contests are trying to react to this number here. But all I can be is frustrated. Because instead of going, oh my gosh, I thought Burrow wasn't going to play until mid-December, I've got him back 3 weeks earlier, and it doesn't matter. They could beat New England, and it doesn't feel like it matters. It is an outrageous situation the Bengals have put themselves in. And it almost feels like the appropriate way for this to go. He actually doesn't play against New England, and they go to 3-8, and he says, never mind, I'm not coming back this year. We'll get Brady Cannon's thoughts after the break.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League.
Yep.
So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what
I
said
earlier.
earlier.
He got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
When I think of the European tour, these are the players I'm thinking of, right? So I understand why that they would be so frustrated by all this, but they also know that there are rules in place that, from a competitive standpoint, that if you're a member of this tour, like, you can't go join a rival tour. Like, there's rules in place, just like in any other business.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
The Green Bay area and the Philadelphia area, you would get on ABC normally.
Yes.
But they didn't have ABC, so they couldn't get it locally.
Yeah, it just, you have to ask the question, like, nobody wants to hear from Bob Iger during the Monday night game when 10 million people are blacked out from watching the game, and you not ask him about when the blackout's going to end.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
With you right here on Game Time Decisions. We've got our guy Brady Cannon joining us now. Brady, it is always great to get to speak to you on these Fridays. And usually, now we kind of just go through some of the favorites, and we will get to some of the picks that have really started to come together for you and the team. But how are you and other bettors handling Joe Burrow's seemingly inevitable return this Sunday against the New England Patriots?
Well, I tell you what, as far as the contest, we're likely going to avoid this, Kevin. And it's very interesting to me when I first opened up the schedule this week, and that was really before any of the Burrow news had hit the wire. I thought the Bengals were a good-looking play, and I felt this might be a tough spot for New England. And I'm almost starting to think the other way now with all this Burrow news. But from a contest standpoint, it looks like Burrow's going to play, and what's going to happen is this line's going to plummet. And what are the Patriots going to be favored by? 3 points, 2.5, 4 points? I don't know where this ends. But the point is, in the contest out here, the Circa Sports Million, I think it's 7 points in favor of the Patriots. And in the Super Contest, it's 6.5. So, it's obviously going to be less than either of those two numbers. And it's going to become an extremely popular contest play to land on the Bengals because you're getting closing line value up the wazoo, and it's almost unavoidable. In my experience, having played these contests for so long, we always get this type of situation where the contest card comes out on Wednesday or Thursday, an injury happens, an injury heals itself in the case of Joe Burrow, and he's back, something of this nature that turns a line 3, 4, 5, 6 points happens, and everybody runs to go make that selection. I swear to goodness, more often than not, it seems to go the other way. So my feeling is just kind of like, I'm just going to sit back, let everybody just, jump on that game, which seems to have such great value. And it does have, obviously, CLV, but when playing contests, it just doesn't seem to work out. And so I've kind of resigned myself to just stay away from those.
To Brady's point, the news came out that he was a full participant, and there was such shock, right? And it was one reporter, right? Because usually a second reporter. The books didn't immediately move. So, I could have had 8.5 on Cincinnati. I'm like, nah, it's okay. And again, I know that overtime beat numbers make money. I know that. But every individual game is different. And I think Brady kind of said it. If you get an 8.5, a 7, you might beat this by over a field goal. And then have to sit there and be like, oh, wait, the Cincinnati defense didn't get any better. And I can't believe what I'm watching
and
right now.
Jamar Chase is still out. I think that's a really big factor. Okay, let's say you throw Joe Burrow back in there. Who's his favorite target? That guy's not going to play in this game. So
it's a tough one, Brady, no doubt. What are some of the games, though, that you guys are starting to line up on?
Well, the Lions are another example of a play that ought to be extremely popular in the contest because the contest line is 10 on the Lions in favor over the New York Giants in both the Circa Sports Million and in the Westgate Super Contest. And now, of course, that line's at 13, approaching 14 because Jackson Dart was ruled out. It's going to be Jameis Winston for the second straight week. So that's another one that'll be extremely popular because you're getting immediate line value there on the contest card versus the line market. That's another one we're probably going to stay away from, even though I really like the Lions no matter who's at quarterback. 13-0 off of a loss, right? I think they trampled the Giants once again. We're trying to be very strategic this week with our selections because we are in the mix a little bit, kind of on the outside looking in, but we are in the mix a little bit for one of the Circa quarterly contests. So we're trying to pick games that we really like, but we're also trying to be a little bit contrarian. And I think one of those interesting plays is the Arizona Cardinals. Now, last week, I loved the Jacksonville Jaguars because I thought it was a buy low spot on them and a sell high spot on the Chargers. I didn't expect a blowout, but that's what we got. So now the roles are reversed. The stock is very high on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, look like they're ready to win a Super Bowl. And the Arizona Cardinals, conversely, were drummed by the San Francisco 49ers. But the truth is they outgained San Francisco in that game. Jacoby Brissett broke a record for number of passes completed. I mean, they weren't that bad. And actually, let's not forget, they just beat the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas not that long ago. So I think there's a good contrarian move, under the radar move, if you will. Sell high on the Jaguars, buy low on the Cardinals spot this week. And that's one we have our eye on for sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The Jags also, you have to, when you can, there's certain teams where they scream, whatever you just saw from me, you likely won't see it again, right? And that's Jacksonville this year.
Yeah.
That started to what we've seen, Brady.
And it's also that situation that I love to bet against. The home dog that wins outright, that in the very next week is thrust into the role of road favorite. And I mean, how many times, I wonder what the number is on how many times Trevor Lawrence has ever covered as a road favorite. I bet it's very few, and
Such
especially in this situation where he comes off of a victory when he wasn't supposed to win last week. And, oh my gosh, now they're going to play Arizona. The Jaguars are on a roll again. Let's make them a road favorite. Nah. Now I'll go the other way. So we'll see if that one works out for us. The Buccaneers and the Rams and the Panthers and the 49ers are games that we took a hard look at. And I'm not sure if we're going to go one direction or another or just leave those off of our card as well. I think both of those games are very difficult to figure out. The Panthers seem to make sense, but I don't want to get too enamored with them off of just one impressive week. And the San Francisco number looks like it could be headed to 7.5. And it's only 7 in the contest. So you don't necessarily want to eat a bad number either, just the way the same you might want to jump on a good number.
What I want to do is take a quick break. I have one game I really want to get Brady's thoughts on, and that'll lead right into our Friday 5 Game Time Decision State University and Best Bets after the break right here on SportsGrid.
Gentry has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said earlier.
He got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
When I think of the European tour, these are the players I'm thinking of, right? So I understand why that they would be so frustrated by all this, but they also know that there are rules in place that, from a competitive standpoint, that if you're a member of this tour, like, you can't go join a rival tour. Like, there's rules in place, just like in any other business.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
The Green Bay area and the Philadelphia area, you would get on ABC normally.
Yes.
But they didn't have ABC, so they couldn't get it locally.
Yeah, it just, you have to ask the question, like, nobody wants to hear from Bob Iger during the Monday night game when 10 million people are blacked out from watching the game, and you not ask him about when the black is going to end.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. Decisions will be made tonight, tomorrow, Sunday, and really forever, because that's what we do, and we're really, really lucky to do it. There is one game that I wanted to get Brady's thoughts on. Yes, I know I'm not supposed to get them before we get back from break, but I'm curious. I'm still going to ask, though, on air so everybody else can get Brady's insight. It is a really important game, it feels like, in the NFC East between Philly and Dallas, Brady. What is your read right now on this game?
I think the masses are out there betting the Eagles, but I think the smart money is on the Cowboys here plus the hook, and that's 3.5. There's not a lot of 3.5s left out there, and I believe that is telling. And in the contest, it is 3.5 at both Circa Sports Million and the Westgate Super Contest. I'm not sure if it'll be a really popular pick. I think it might be split. I would say the Cowboys might be a little bit more popular because of that hook. But I think getting 3.5 at home, same season revenge. You remember it was the opening game of the season that the Cowboys were very impressive, I thought, in that loss. Only a 4-point loss to the Eagles in week 1. Now they get to avenge that loss here on their own home turf. Now, we know the last game out, they were against the Raiders. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens staying out late in Vegas and getting a case of the bottle flu didn't even matter. They crushed the Raiders. This offense is a well-oiled machine. The Philadelphia defense is solid, but more so against the pass than they are against the run. And if Javonte Williams and company can run the ball effectively for Dallas, then I think that opens the passing game up wide open. I give Brian Schottenheimer a lot of credit. I think he's done a very good job as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys this year. This is a division game. Dallas knows it's extremely important. They're ready to just run through a gauntlet of their schedule with Thanksgiving coming up and a lot of division games on deck. They really have to get this one if they have any hopes of doing anything the rest of this season. So I think getting that extra hook here is very important beyond the field goal, getting 3.5. I like the Cowboys.
I'm excited to see how I feel. Again, and people know, I tell Brady this, the longer the week goes, the more likely I am to place bets. In the moment, I see the game differently, but there are a lot of smart people, Brady included, who see the game that way. I am very excited to watch it all play out. Brady, we appreciate it as always. Best of luck with another important weekend.
Have a great weekend, my friend, and I'll talk to you Thanksgiving week. You going to be around?
Actually, no.
All right. But, well, you have a great holiday. You have a great holiday.
Thank you, Brady. We'll check in, I am sure, pretty soon, though. And let's take the insight there from Brady around Dallas and let you know that it's featured in our Friday Five. As AJ is going to play the Cowboys, and he says, forget the hook. Forget the 3. Money line. Plus 148. Mystery man on a money line. Bears. Minus 142. How about that? It's Side City over here in the Friday Five. Chiefs laying 3.5 is how Sam's going to play it. That is a KC needs it, KC gets it angle. I like it. He could have found a flat 3, I bet. Didn't want it. Monty, 50-plus rushing. As juiced out of a best bet you'll see from Chris. I'm just calling it like I see it. Give me Baker over the 1.5 passing touchdowns. Not only is it a family play, it's a step-up spot for Baker and the Bucs at a plus price. I'm quite enticed by Baker Mayfield. How about some GTD State University? AJ Cincy Mooney line. I like it. They're playing BYU. Sam Yarnell Duke laying 6.5. Cam Boozer under center. No. Cooper Flagg at tight end. No. As far as I'm concerned, Duke football, I don't care who are they playing. Who can they possibly be playing? Oh, my goodness, Big Bill Belichick. Shout out to him. Hey, guys, my name's Bill Belichick. I don't want any of the NFL jobs that aren't being offered to me. Come on, man. Come on, man. Vanderbilt, first half team total over. It's actually 16.5. But can I say, you know what? He's not here, so I can say this. He's so rattled, he wrote the wrong number on his best bet. That's been his best bet all week. Folks, I got to be honest with you. I'm scared for the kid. I am. I wish him best. He knows that, I think. I actually don't know if he knows that, but it's true. I wish him the best. But I'm scared for him. 5-1 rushing touchdown each quarter. in Syracuse, Notre Dame. Just one of many ways we'll be looking for Jeremiah Love to be phenomenal in that game. Best bets tonight, Smothers over the 13.5 receiving yards, NC State. Hawaii, UNLV, shoo, 64.5. It's a little light. Chet Holmgren, 28.5. PRA. Come on, Chet. Let's get some oxtail, brother. King Gate Live is next.